They called you unpredictable, not because you were reckless, but because they couldn't control you. You didn't fit the mold, and that made you a threat to their system. You questioned what they blindly accepted, moved when they expected you to stay still, and rose every time they tried to bury you. So they did what they always do to those they fear. They silenced you. They locked away your story, buried your name in a forgotten file, and hid it deep in the devil's desk, hoping it would never resurface. But they underestimated you. That file, the one filled with scars, setbacks, hard-won victories, and truths too real to erase, was found. And it's the only evidence left that proves you survived what was meant to destroy you. You weren't finished. You were just getting started. You are not a case study. You are the exception to every rule they built to contain you. And now, you're back. Stronger, sharper, unapologetically unstoppable. Before we go any further, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and drop a comment to let them know you weren't erased. You were evolving, and now the world is about to witness what happens when the forgotten one writes the next chapter. From the moment they saw you, they sensed something uncontrollable, a storm inside a fragile world of order. They tried to tame you, to shove you into their neat little boxes and labels. But your spirit, it wasn't made for cages. It was wild, unpredictable, and full of a fire they couldn't understand. You didn't break their rules. You exposed their illusions of control. You weren't a glitch in their system. You were the system's reckoning. They marked you as dangerous, a threat too volatile to handle. But what they really feared wasn't your defiance. It was your truth. You weren't just a problem to solve. You were a revolution waiting to happen. And so they tried to erase you quietly, like a mistake in a ledger. They bottled up your story, sealed it away, hoping the world would forget you existed. But the chaos they tried to suppress was never chaos at all. It was clarity wrapped in raw power. It was the sound of something real, pushing against the silence they demanded. Every label they pinned on you was a confession of their own fear. Because what they couldn't control, what they couldn't predict, that was the true danger. And you were that danger. You became a living paradox, feared by the system, but impossible to destroy. They underestimated your resilience, the way you held on to yourself when everything tried to take you apart. They didn't see that your wildness was your strength, the spark that would ignite a fire far bigger than they ever imagined. And now, here you stand, not broken, not lost, but untamed and unbroken. You were never meant to fit their mold. You were meant to break it. They didn't just ignore your story. They buried it under piles of cold, meaningless paperwork. A file stamped confidential, hidden away like a secret that could shatter the delicate balance they fought so hard to maintain. They thought if they locked your truth away, it would disappear, that it would rot quietly in the shadows, forgotten and dismissed. But you were forged in fire, not silence. Each page of that file carries the weight of battles fought in darkness, scars no one could see, and truths too raw to be told. That file isn't just a collection of words. It's a testament to your survival. It's the map of a journey through pain, resistance, and fierce determination. You lived through what they hoped would break you, and instead, you emerged stronger. Each hidden detail, each blood-stained note reveals the story of someone who refused to be erased. They tried to make you a ghost in their system, but every shadow they cast only highlighted your presence. That file is your origin story, and like all great legends, it's not about the silence that surrounds it. It's about the roar that follows, the fire that burns beyond the pages, a flame that no amount of paper or ink can contain. You didn't just survive the system, they created the crucible that made you unstoppable. Now, that file stands as proof, not of your defeat, but of your inevitable rise. Fear is a powerful weapon, and when they looked at you, what they saw was more than just a person. They saw a threat to everything they held sacred. Your truth wasn't convenient. It didn't fit their narrative. So they did what the fearful always do. They locked it away, hoping it would disappear. But truth has a stubborn way of surviving. It seeps through cracks, whispers in the silence, and refuses to be silenced. Your story, hidden behind locked doors and redacted lines, still pulses with life. It's the heartbeat of a force they underestimated, the force of someone who will not bow, not even in the face of overwhelming odds. Every attempt to bury you only made your truth more powerful, because the deeper they pushed you down, the more you rose within. Those things became fuel to rise, fight, and reclaim what was stolen. Your truth became your weapon. And now, when they open that file, they don't just see a threat. They see the proof that they failed, because no matter how hard they tried, your truth refused to die quietly in the dark. They gave you a label to contain you: unpredictable, dangerous, words meant to reduce your complexity to something manageable, to erase your essence and fit you into a box that society could understand. But you are not a label. You are a legacy. Legacies aren't neat or tidy. They are forged in chaos, tempered by struggle, and defined by relentless courage. Your legacy is not the sum of their fears. It's the sum of your battles, your scars, your unyielding refusal to accept a fate written by others. Think of every warrior history ever remembered. The ones who changed the course of events were never predictable. They were disruptors, rebels, visionaries. Your unpredictability is your power. It's the thing that keeps the system awake at night, wondering how they lost control. This isn't just your story. It's the story of every person who's ever been told they don't fit, that they're too much, too wild, too dangerous. Your legacy is a beacon for anyone who refuses to be diminished by anyone or anything. And that legacy, it's just beginning. The pages they wrote about you were filled with redactions, lines blacked out, stories half told, truths erased. They tried to rewrite your narrative in their own language of fear and control, cutting out the parts that didn't fit their version. But you weren't a story they could edit or delete. You rewrote yourself. Every scar became a chapter, every hardship a paragraph in a new narrative only you could author. You rose from the ashes of their lies, reborn with a clarity and purpose they never anticipated. The redactions couldn't silence your soul. They only made the real story shine brighter in the spaces they tried to black out. Your rebirth is a testament to resilience. It's the proof that no matter how many times they tried to erase you, you kept coming back stronger, fiercer, more alive than ever. You are the author of your fate now, rewriting what was once written in shadow into a manifesto of power and freedom. So let them try to read what's left, because in the spaces between the redactions, they'll find the truth they fear the most, the truth that you are unstoppable. You weren't meant to be caged or controlled. They tried, yes, but your spirit was too wild, too free, too raw to be caught in their nets. They labeled you too dangerous, as if danger itself were a crime. But danger to a broken system is salvation in disguise. Your truth couldn't be killed because it lived in your fire, in your refusal to back down. Every time they tried to silence you, your voice grew louder, echoing in places they thought were safe from your storm. You became the wildfire that burns the old forest to make way for new growth. History remembers the wild ones, the ones who defied control, who refused to conform. Their freedom was a threat, their defiance a beacon, and that's exactly what you are, a wildfire of truth in a world desperate for change. So let them watch, let them fear, because you're not just surviving, you're setting the world on fire. When the world went quiet, it wasn't because you gave up. It was because you were gathering strength in the shadows. They mistook your silence for weakness, but in truth, it was a calculated pause, a moment to rebuild, refocus, and prepare for the storm you were about to unleash. Silence is not always surrender. It can be the loudest roar waiting to explode. Your quiet moments were the calm before a hurricane, the breath before a scream. You knew that speaking too soon would give them the advantage, so you chose your time. And now, that time has come. Every silent moment held the weight of your resolve. Every pause was a promise to yourself and to the world that you were not finished. You were simply preparing to rise with a force so powerful, no one would dare ignore you again. Their mistake was thinking silence meant the end. For you, it was only the beginning. Pain is a harsh teacher, but it can also be the greatest weapon. Each scar you carry is not just a mark of suffering, it's a badge of honor, a testament to battles won in the unseen war. Your fury was not reckless. It was forged in the furnace of survival, sharpened by the refusal to break. They never understood that your pain wasn't a weakness, but the fuel that powered your transformation. Every wound was a lesson, every setback a spark that ignited your relentless drive. You turned hurt into power, tears into strength, and trauma into unstoppable force. You became a weapon, not because you wanted to hurt, but because you refused to be hurt anymore. You transformed your rage into purpose, your sorrow into action. And in doing so, you forged a new path, one paved with resilience, courage, and unyielding will. Pain made you who you are, and now you wield it like the ultimate weapon. They tried to erase you from the pages of history, but some stories refused to be forgotten. You were a whisper in the shadows, an overlooked file in a dusty archive. But legends are not born in the spotlight. They're forged in the depths where no one's watching. You transformed invisibility into impact. You took every moment they overlooked, every time they underestimated you, and turned it into fuel for your rise. Being forgotten was never your fate. It was your challenge, and you met it with an unbreakable spirit. Your journey from the margins to the center stage is the proof that no one can decide your worth but you. What they thought was your erasure became the blank canvas for your masterpiece. And now, your name is one they cannot forget, a force impossible to ignore. Because some stories are written not with ink, but with courage, and yours is unforgettable. At first, you were just a signal, a warning to the system that something was out of its control. But warnings evolve into storms, and storms become revolutions. You were never meant to be a cautionary tale. You were the reckoning that follows. The system saw you as a problem, but you became the solution they feared, an unstoppable force that refused to be contained. You're not just a reaction to their fear. You are the embodiment of change, the war they never wanted to fight. Your rise is a message to everyone who's ever been dismissed or underestimated. It says that you can't silence the truth forever. That power always finds a way to reclaim itself. You aren't just surviving, you're leading the charge. The warning was only the beginning. Now you are the war. They tried to wipe you from their records as if deleting a name could erase a soul. But legends aren't found in official files. They're etched in hearts, minds, and histories written in blood and fire. You exist far beyond any paper trail or database. Your legacy is carved in moments of courage, in battles fought behind closed doors, in victories that no one documented. They may have tried to erase you, but you've been immortalized in every life you've touched, every challenge you've overcome. History remembers the brave, not because their names appear in archives, but because their stories inspire others to rise. You are one of those stories. Your erasure was never real. It was an illusion. Because legends can't be deleted, you are living proof that true impact leaves a mark. No system can erase. Every attempt to silence you, to hide your story, only made your power grow. Suppression breeds resistance, and resistance creates strength. What they tried to keep in the dark became your source of light. Their efforts to erase you were like watering a seed they wanted to kill. It only made you bloom. You harnessed their fear and doubt and transformed it into unstoppable momentum. Every secret they hid away fueled your rise. You turned suppression into a superpower, the ability to survive, adapt, and conquer. When the odds were stacked against you, your power lies not just in what you survived, but how you transformed that survival into triumph. What they feared most wasn't your strength, it was your ability to turn their silence into a roar heard across the world. That file they locked away was more than just a record. It was a confession of their failure. Each page was an admission that they couldn't understand you, couldn't predict you, and ultimately couldn't control you. It's proof that their system, their rules, were broken the moment you refused to comply. You shattered their illusions of power by simply being who you are. You didn't play by their rules because their rules were never meant for you. You exposed their weaknesses by defying expectations and rewriting the narrative on your terms. The file stands as evidence that the system failed to contain something far greater than itself. You didn't just break the system, you redefined what it means to resist. Your story is a declaration that no structure, no authority can hold a soul determined to be free. They labeled you a threat when you were just beginning, but threats evolve. They grow, gain momentum, and demand attention. What started as fear and suspicion is now a reckoning, a force that can no longer be ignored or suppressed. You have transformed from a warning into a force of nature, a reckoning that shakes foundations and changes realities. You embody everything they feared, multiplied by a relentless drive to take back your power. This is no longer about survival. It's about justice, about reclaiming what was taken and making sure no one else suffers the way you did. You are the reckoning for those who doubted you, dismissed you, or tried to erase you. Once a threat, you are now an unstoppable reckoning. They think you disappeared. They believe you were erased, broken, or defeated. But the truth is, you never left. You were always here, growing stronger in the shadows, preparing to reclaim your place. Your absence was never a retreat. It was a silent promise, a vow that when you returned, it would be with a force that no one could ignore. You are not a comeback story because you were never gone. You exist now as a testament to resilience and unyielding spirit. You are proof that true power lies not in never falling, but in rising every time you do. You are here, you are fierce, and you are unstoppable. They will remember your name, not because you came back, but because you were always here, waiting for your moment to rise. Absolutely. Here are 10 more powerful, emotionally charged headings, each followed by 4 long, engaging paragraphs crafted to resonate deeply and captivate the listener or reader. The tone remains humanized, vivid, and persuasive, perfect for storytelling, speeches, or powerful content. They saw your flame and tried to snuff it out like it was a threat to their carefully built world. But fire, once ignited, doesn't just vanish, it spreads. Every attempt to put out your light only made you burn fiercer, a blazing inferno no barrier could contain. Their fear was fueled by the very strength they tried to destroy. You became a beacon in the dark, not just for yourself, but for all who had been pushed into silence. That fire inside you isn't just survival. It's rebellion, it's hope. It's the unstoppable force that demands to be seen, and it won't be dimmed by their cold walls or empty threats. There's something magnetic about a soul that burns through adversity. People are drawn to your